Hi, from the New York Bureau. Are you telling me that Marjorie Taylor Greene's going to have to read all 14 pages?
All 14.
Are you telling me this monster AOC is going to she's going to force her to read 14 pages of this bill?
We
need Marjorie Greene. We comedians need her. 14 pages. She's going to be gone for months. Months.
And don't you love that means she's been opening her big yap about the Green New Deal without having read it for this long? But okay.
Yeah.
All right.
You're telling me that Marjorie Taylor Greene's going to allow AOC to do a publicity stunt that will allow the details of how the Green New Deal will help people to enter Fox News viewers' ears? That monster.
All right. You wrote me a love poem. Thank you, John. Roses are red. Let me be blunt. Innocent guys still don't say a total witch hunt. Oh, that's so super sweet. Is that about Matt Gaetz or is that just in general?
Oh, that's about Matt. That's about a whole number of people in the party of Lincoln. And I did a little jingle yesterday in honor of Ben Shapiro. I don't know if you saw the video, but
he finally got wood right at Home Depot.
Yeah, he finally brought home some wood to his poor wife, and he wrapped it up too, like a good little boy. It was a little nursery rhyme my son was singing. I'm a little fascist, have no doubt. Here's my little wood, and here is my pout. Law that limit voting freezes blacks out. Indulging racists gives me clout.
Yay.
There you go. Let me get the for him.
Hey.
He is a poet laureate. He is a
we ben.
Sir John Fugelsang, I bring you. What? I missed that stunt. What was the stunt at Home Depot with the wood? What was it for, the Ben Shapiro?
Some African-American groups and churches have criticized Home Depot for not opposing the law that makes it harder for lots of people, not just black folks, lots of people to vote in that state. And so Ben Shapiro decided to wag his little thing at African Americans who want expanded voting access by going to make a purchase to support Home Depot. But Ben has never been inside a Home Depot. He didn't know what to buy. So he bought like a 3-foot-long piece of plywood and asked them to put it in a plastic bag, which covers about 1/3 of it. And it's the closest Ben will ever come to not being able to wrap something all the way.
Okay. Speaking of Matt Gaetz, which, by the way, you and Hal Sparks both played brilliantly. I think you should debate each other as Matt Gaetz, both of you, in the next Sexy Liberal.
Well, he did Matt Gaetz today. I did Matt Gaetz a year from now doing his podcast in prison. But yeah, that's the first time that's ever happened in one of these shows, by the way. Anytime you do a political show, you know, like you always know that people are going to have the same jokes about the same thing. I remember I did a show with Bill Maher once, and I walked off after middling for him, and he goes, "Did you do all my material? Did you talk about everything I'm going to talk about?" But so it was the first time ever that Hal and I have done the same impression for the same show.
Did you say
I thought it worked beautifully.
Mine was funny? Sorry.
Yes, I did. I said, yes, I did the same material, but women and religious groups don't hate me. Thanks, Bill. And we laughed at that. You know, he likes to be teased.
Yes. Oh my God. I'm sorry. I'm choking up a lung while you're.
Hey, you're better than me. I had my shot number 2 yesterday.
Oh, you did?
I had shot number 2.
And you got you got the Duncan Hines?
I got the Duncan Hines vaccine, shot number 2. I was so sick last night. I had to leave my show early for the first time ever. I felt like Ted Cruz's arteries. I was so sick last night. It was a rough one.
Are you better? Are you all better? Or?
I'm considerably better. Okay. Yeah, I'll miss the use of my left arm, but I'm okay. But wow, my wife got so sick her first one.
I was talking with a friend yesterday. It's amazing how everybody's different physiologies affects them with vaccine. There's no rhyme or reason as to what side effects you're going to get at all.
Yeah. It's a great ad for keeping safe, isn't it? It's great. We talk about let's do our part to drive vaccine hesitancy up by talking about our side effects.
My first one, I did a 2-hour hike and a 3-hour bike ride, as I always do. So I don't know.
Oh, my
second one is Friday.
Yeah, my first one, I rode my bike home from Javits Center, and it was windy, and I'm like, it's all right, you know. But I thought I was going to be fine. But this one, boy, howdy!
Which one did you get?
I got Pfizer.
Oh, he's all right. Please jingle him in, won't you? You and Chris, the rest of us are team. All right.
Pfizer.
Okay, good for you. Evens out the odds here. Travis and Sean and I are all team. We're funky cold Moderna, but it's all right. Nice. We can still love. We have a
cold Moderna.
Yeah, it's an East Coast West Coast rap war now. Yeah. What? But speaking of Matt Gaetz, Lindy tweeted, Matt Gaetz turned to Roger Stone, of all people, for help a few days before his child sex trafficking scandal broke, paying him a consulting fee. In other words, Rapey McForehead is going to jail. Isn't that what you get advice from Roger Stone on, how to get convicted and go to jail? What else?
Yeah, but let's not forget, they're still going to put Roger Stone in jail. And when he goes in jail and brings his tattoo with him, we'll finally all get to see Nixon behind bars. That's going to be the icing on all of it.
Finally. We'll have Jill Wine-Banks on to celebrate that day.
Yeah. So it's not going away.
We were just, by the way, do not torture our good friend John Fugelsang with Tucker Carlson's evil Batman villain laugh, because he said he's still recovering from his second vaccine shot. Don't.
Listen, I thought Tucker Carlson's baffled bitch face couldn't be topped, but now we have Tucker Carlson's Ku Klux cackle, and that to me is the sound effect of the week. Howard
Accurate.
Dean, all is forgiven.
I think that was. It was hard to pick a favorite thing, but I think your Tucker Carlson baffled bull face on The Last Sexy Liberal was my favorite. It made me laugh out loud several times. But anyway. You tweeted, no, Tucker's also, because we found out he was in the, who's the guy that, the homophobe.
Dan White.
Yes, homophobe that killed Harvey Milk.
Milk.
Yes, he was in the Dan White Society. You said, no, Tucker is also in the Jesse Helms Foundation, named for the segregationist who opposed 64 Civil Rights Act and sanctions on apartheid, called Martin Luther King marchers moral degenerates, literally turned his back on Mandela, whistled Dixie at the first black woman senator, quote, to make her cry. So he's also, I know, and I said, don't forget that he's also a horrible homophobe. But you're just reminding us once again that he's also a horrible racist. Yeah.
He's a horrible racist, but we should also mention a horrible transphobe as well. Everyone should watch that HBO miniseries, The Lady and the Dale, which is really fascinating. Sharmi got me into it. I didn't understand it. I think the title's terrible, but it's about this transgender con artist who designed a car that in the 70s that could run on 3 wheels to fight the energy crisis. It was all a fraud. It was all a scam. She eventually went to jail. All throughout, her Inspector Javert, this local journalist who keeps trying to smear her, is just trying to smear her because he wants to smear trans people. In the end, it's revealed that that person is actually Tucker Carlson's dad. And Tucker shows up in the very end. And you realize that he doesn't just...
Whoa!
He's not just rich because of frozen food air money. He comes from a long line of bigots, and everyone needs to watch The Lady in the Dale just for that scene. Tucker has been a mediocrity for decades, and as we watch every night on Fox News, his chin somehow fused with his neck, and his mouth becomes ever more lipless with each passing day. The rage he had, A, that the cop was convicted, and B, that he wasn't allowed to be angry. The cop was convicted. And that's why we've seen this week what the Bulwark calls, they're not pro-Chauvin. Yeah. They're anti-Chauvin.
Yeah.
And if you're happy that Chauvin went to jail, you're the target. Yeah. And that's how corrosive this racism is. A smart Republican would say, good, he deserves it. Send him away. We don't have smart Republicans anymore. We have these guys who think they've got to be on the side of the racists or else they'll lose support.
Yeah. I mean, and it just seems like it's every issue. We just had Mondaire Jones on from New York, who is fantastic. But
Congressman who could dance, my God.
But, Travis Akers tweets the same. We were just talking to him about D.C. statehood. He said, it amazes me to hear the argument that D.C. was never intended by the founding fathers to become a state. They never intended slaves to be freed, anyone other than white landowners to vote, or a U.S. president to attempt to overthrow the government either. So, yeah, they didn't intend black people or women to be able to vote. It's like, their arguments just fall flat to me on every subject.
Anyone saying that, this district that has more people, over 150,000 more than the state of Wyoming, but Wyoming is 96% white and DC is 46% black. And anyone saying that we can't let them be a state because the founders didn't intend that, I consider them to have 3/5 of a brain. And they'll do anything they could do. I'm like, bring in Puerto Rico and let's keep it even at 52. Bring in Virgin Islands, bring in Guam. I want to meet my Guam senator. We could get 58 if we do this right. And it's never going to pass this Senate, but it's begun. This process is not going to go away. This is like marriage equality. DC will achieve statehood, as will Puerto Rico, which for the first time, the voters chose statehood in Puerto Rico last year. So it's an amazing time. I don't know how you'll get 10 Republicans to cross over and do this. And you know what? If some states don't like it, they're allowed to go this time. Texas is not Texas, but if Mississippi, Alabama, whoever wants to go, you can leave, and we'll keep the same number of stars. We'll just make more states.
Yep. Oh, speaking of Bill Maher, Captain Geordie of our Midas Touch Front said, the pandemic made a lot of people lose their minds. I'm most shocked with how far Bill Maher has gone off the deep end. I thought I was the only one that noticed, John, is that I'm like, I know he was, I guess he's not really a liberal, but I'm like, is he libertarian? Is he just a contrarian now? Is he just cranky because he hasn't been able to be on the road? But it's like he started having like vaccine hesitant scientists and like, Fox, Go Sweden, kind of COVID deniers on. And it just keeps going into this fat shaming people for COVID. I just don't.
I didn't hear that. Well, I mean, I don't think it's fat shaming, but I do think that we have to talk about nutrition. The fact that America is the country that has fat, poor people. And why is that? It's because we don't eat food. We eat stuff that comes in a box.
I agree.
And that is partially why poor people are impacted so much harder, because they're inherently unhealthy because of our agri-food monstrosity. But Bill has always been a contrarian. He identified as a libertarian when Bill Clinton was president. And, whenever there's been a Democratic president, Bill goes this way because he doesn't want to be, with the swing of things. And it breaks my heart sometimes because, I like that he doesn't try to play to any group, but sometimes he's just wrong about stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, with religious stuff,
my point is that the Twitterverse has been afire with, just suggestions for late night shows. Just a sexy liberal show might be.
Oh, I see where this is going. Yes,
might be a good starring Stephanie Miller, John Fugelsang, Hal Sparks, and Frangela. I'm just saying, might be a good choice for some. Specific...
Oh, we're in brutally real time. I understand. Yes.
You tweeted your brilliant. It's hard to pick a favorite, John Fugelsang, from this last sexy liberal, but your who's on first takeoff with President Who and whatever is it's a next level, John Fugelsang. It's just next level. So please.
Well, I want to thank you because these shows, these virtual shows, have allowed me to do the kind of material I could never do at a live show, and it's been really fun to let it morph from being like, stand up, like the stand up pay-per-view to the short film pay-per-view, and now it's just a great sketch show. And I've just been having a blast doing it.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm just saying, fantastic idea for some television.
By the way, when is WikiLeaks going to let Baja Men know who let the dogs out? We haven't gotten that yet. Baja Men have waited decades.
All right. Go to sexyliberal.com. Fulfill all your Fugelsangian needs. You can still watch on demand. $15. It's an amazing, brilliant show with a cast of thousands.
So funny. White privilege is so funny. Everyone needs to watch it. It was great.
Thank you, honey. Well, my idea was only Beverly Hills lady stealing the East LA vaccine spots, and then Frangela made it into this fantastic white privilege perfume commercial with the writing brilliant. All of you, mwah, you and Hal and Frangela, amazing. Sexyliberal.com.
I want to thank you guys, by the way, for giving me so much inspiration in the last year. So much good has come from the senseless, awful, evil murder of George Floyd. So much good has come on the local level in so many police precincts. And I got to tell you, when the verdict came in, I was in Brooklyn. I was at Midwin Charles's wake, and I couldn't believe it. She's someone I talk to about every week for the last year about this. And I want everyone to take a moment to just realize that we're all part of a movement. And this couldn't have happened 20 years ago, but it happened now because there's more of us than there are of them. And people are really tired of this part of our population being able to murder and get away with it and walk. There's no other job. If a nurse gave George Floyd the wrong medication and he died, she would have lost her job. And I know there's still so much injustice, but this is what makes me proud to be an American, is the regular people who are fighting and forcing the leaders to follow along with us.
Yeah, and you're right, John. We've lost some amazing warriors this year, and all the more reason that we got to stay in there and stay in the fight. And I'm always so honored to be in the fight with you, sir. I love you.
Well, at least Walter Mondale went to heaven this week, and he does win the popular vote.
Hey.
There you go.
Goodbye, ecclesiastical mook. Yes.
Tonight on my show, Thom Jones. Don't miss it.
That's not unusual for you to have a big name.
Oh, what? I interviewed him years ago, and he has a great new album out of covers, and we talk about everything. We talk about Elvis stories and Bob Dylan stories, and he's great.
Wow, and he's
probably some of those covers. They are amazing.
Yeah, and he's probably the only guest you've ever had that has the same size package as you. So good for you.
Well,
what?
So yeah,
it's Sirius XM. He can have a sword fight on the air. It's there's no FCC. I love you, John.
Can I take back everything I said about all the inspiration I've gotten from this show? I'd like to withdraw that entire comment.
All right, yeah, you go ahead. Well, it's going to take you a long time to withdraw. You know what I'm talking about.